Shita seems to be reading Bhagavatam every day. It's really like so nice. Thank you. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we have one special announcement, and it is the happy birthday of one of our regular Bhagavatam reader, Devika, daughter of Jyoti Mataji. So
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Devika. Many happy birthday, happy conscious Krishna conscious birthdays to you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Very kind of you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Very,
Krishna.
very spiritual. She's reading so many times. I think we have Santosh Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Should we sing a little bit of Hare Krishna for Devika, please?
Yes, please. I'd love to. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Dear Devika, I'm going to sing a happy birthday song for you. And I hope you enjoy it. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna, dear Devika. Hare Krishna to you. I would like all the devotees to please unmute your audio system and let's say 3 Haribols to dear Devika. 1, 2, 3.
Haribol.
Haribol. Haribol. Haribol.
Haribol.
Thank you, Mataji.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Hare
you. Thank you, everybody.
Hare Krishna. I would like to add something in this nice, beautiful song of Hare Krishna to these nice young devotees. So it's, may Lord Krishna bless you. May Lord Krishna bless you. May Lord Krishna bless you and take you all the way home. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
This is so wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Tilaka Mataji, for that. Okay.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Happy birthday once again.
Thank you.
We're going to share the verse for the day. So we could not discuss yesterday because of illness. I'm sorry, this is taking a little time. Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My Dandavat pranams. By the time you're getting ready, can I just sing quickly for Devika, please?
Okay, sure.
Just a quick one. It is a Sanskrit one. So, Janmadinamidam Ai Priya Devika Janmadinamidam Ai Priya Devika Shantanotu te sarvadhamudam Shantanotu te sarvadhamudam Prarthayamahe Bhavashatayushi Prarthayamahe Bhavashatayushi. God, I'm missing it now.
That was very nice. Thank you.
I missed the last line, Prabhuji, I think. Bhavashatayushi Ishvara sada tvam cha rakshatu Ishvara sada tvam cha rakshatu Tvam cha rakshatu. Basically, happy birthday, Devika. May you live 100 years and may you bring glory and God will always bless you.
Thank you so much, Mamta Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Sorry for a little bit of hiccup over there.
Mataji, that was very nice. Can you post that on the chat? What you just...
Yes, Prabhuji, actually there was another one more also line. It was
next time we can do that.
but Ishvara sada tvam cha rakshatu Punyakarmana Kirtimarjaya Punyakarmana Kirtimarjaya Jivanam Tava Bhavatu Sarthakam Jivanam Tava Bhavatu Sarthakam. The meaning goes, oh dear friend, may this birthday bring you auspiciousness and joy forever. Indeed, we all pray for your long life. May the Lord always protect you. By noble deeds, you may attain fame and may your life be fulfilled. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. This is by Swami Tejo Mayanandaji, I think.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji, I took so much of your time.
That was nice. That was nice. Thank you so much. Okay, so we will discuss verse number 31 and 32 today. So we'll recite the verse once again. And then we'll read the translation purport of both the verses and discuss a little bit on both of them. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Yatha Nabasi Meghago Renurva Parthivo Nile Evam Drashche Drishthatvam Aropitam Abuddhibhi. Word by word. Yatha, as it is, Nabasi, in the sky, Megha Ogaha, a mass of clouds, Renuhu, dust, Va, as well as, Parthivaha, muddiness, Anile, in the air, Evam, thus, Drishtari, to the seer, Drishtvatvam, for the purpose of seeing, Arupitam, is implied, Abuddhibhihi, by the less intelligent persons. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Translation. Clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spiritual self. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Anyone would like to read the purport, please?
Can I read it, Prabhuji?
Yes, please, Mataji.
It is further confirmed herein that with our material eyes and senses we cannot see the Lord, who is all spirit. We cannot even detect the spiritual spark which exists within the material body of the living being. We took to the onward covering of the body or subtle mind of the living being, but we cannot see the spiritual spark within the body. So we have to accept the living being's presence by the presence of his gross body. Similarly, those who want to see the Lord with their present material eyes or with the material senses are advised to meditate on the gigantic external feature called the Virat Rupa. For the instance, when a particular gentleman goes in his car, which can be seen very easily, we identify the car with the man within the car. When the president being, we identify the car with the president. Similarly, less intelligent men who want to see God immediately without necessary qualification are shown for the gigantic material cosmos as the form of the Lord. Although the Lord is within and without, the clouds in the sky and the blue of the sky are better appreciated in this connection. Although the bluish tint of the sky and the sky itself are different, we conceive of the color of the sky as blue, but that is a general conception for the layman only. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yes, so you've already covered a little bit of conversation on Virat Rupa, or universal form of the Lord. And this is further explanation by the Sutta Goswami that why it has to be still considered. In the translation, once again, clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit soul. We can't see, as Prabhupada explained this in the purport, that with the material eyes, we cannot see the Lord, who is all spirit. So there cannot be a direct perception of spiritual through the material senses. Like in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives Arjuna Divya Chakshu to be able to see the universal form as well. Actually, that was something beyond this. And but some people insist that we want to see the Lord. You know, show me. And people are like, I can't see. If I can't see, I can't believe. Seeing is believing. Many people argue like that. That they have the faith, because unless they have the at least some inclination to be, you know, to see Lord or to inquire about the Lord, they will not get to the stage. Most people just will reject the idea of God completely. But these are the people who are interested, but they cannot see, or they cannot imagine anything could be beyond the material senses. And for them, to most of us, it's difficult. So we can't perceive how the Lord looks, and you know what is His form with our material senses, which are conditioned. So how do we see, or how do such people can see? So for that purpose, it is said that this universal form is the form of the Lord. And then, you know, there are various features of the Virat Rupa, different planetary systems, starting Patala at his feet, going all the way to the top, the Satyaloka. It's all explained in the second canto. The details of the Virat Rupa, how it is, you know, displayed. And sorry, I have to mute a few people. Thank you so much. Yes, so yes, but their perception is not correct, but it is still some faith, some shraddha in them. Prabhupada further explains that how do we identify someone with the car? So that car is going, you know, that, okay, that person is just seeing the car, we can see the person is going. And that could be the president, so, you know, he has a specific car. And there is president for the time being. We identify the car with the president. So a beautiful example, simple layman example, Prabhupada gives in his brilliant purport. Otherwise, how it is possible for us to even understand these extremely complex words of Srimad Bhagavatam sometimes, like particularly all these abstract definitions of the forms of the Lord, the creations and all. It's very complex, but Prabhupada gives such beautiful, simple, easy to understand examples. We can relate to this now, yes. How we see the president of car as the president, that's how we see this gigantic creation on the planetary system, joining as body of the Supreme Lord, the Virat form. But less intelligent people who want to see God immediately without necessary qualifications are shown first the gigantic material cosmos as the form of the Lord. So there is a way to see the Lord, but that requires some qualification. It's a little bit of a process to follow. The process is defined, fully defined by the parampara, by the acharyas. How we can see the Lord face to face. Prabhupada says it is possible in one lifetime if we just follow the process. Simple process of chanting, feasting, and dancing. Prabhupada says our process is very simple for simple. And the Lord is within and without. The cloud in the sky and the blue of the sky are better appreciated in this connection. So yeah, so the sky, we can't see the sky, or we say the sky is cloudy, or the air is dirty. We can't see the air. See, the air is dirty. So, and also we assign blue color to the sky, although the color blue has really nothing to do with the sky, but it appears blue because there's also scientific reasons of that. So we see that and we say, yes, this is sky. What we see up there, blue color is the sky. But that is only for the general layman, for us to understand. Otherwise, we can't understand this. So I think great detail has been covered in the previous class. So we'll go to the next verse for the day. If that's okay, or anyone wants to further comment or raise any discussion points for this? Okay, so we go to the next. Verse 32. Atha param yad avyaktam avyuda guna brahmitam adrishta sukha vastutva sa jivo yat punarbhavaha. Word by word. Ataha, this, param, beyond, yat, which, avyaktam, unmanifested, avyudha, without formal shape, guna brahmitam, affected by the qualities, adrishta, unseen, ashruta, unheard, vastutvat, being like that, saha, that, jivaha, living being, yat, that which, punah bhavaha, takes birth repeatedly. Translation. Beyond this conception of form is another subtle conception of form which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety, otherwise he could not have repeated births. Purport. Anyone would like to read this?
Can I read, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you. Purport. As a gross cosmic manifestation is conceived as a gigantic body of the Lord, so also there is a conception of his subtle form, which is simply realized without being seen, heard, or manifested. But in fact, all these gross or subtle conceptions of the body are in relation with the living beings. The living beings has his spiritual form beyond this gross material or subtle psychic existence. The gross body and psychic form functions cease to act as soon as a living being leaves the visible gross body. In fact, we say that the living being has gone away because he is unseen and unheard. Even when the gross body is not acting, when the living being is in sound sleep, we know that he is within the body by his breathing. So the living beings passing away from the body does not mean that there is no existence of the living soul. It is there. Otherwise, how can he repeat his birth again and again? The conclusion is that the Lord is eternally existent in his transcendental form, which is neither gross nor subtle like that of the living beings. His body is never to be compared to the gross and subtle bodies of the living being. All such conceptions of God's body are imaginary. The living being has his eternal spiritual form, which is conditioned only by his material contaminations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Sorry, I just remembered we didn't even chant Om Mangalacharan. What we will do soon. A little bit of change in the pattern today. So I'll just chant a little bit. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam yena Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langayate giram Yat-krupatamaham vande Shri-Guru-dina-karanam. Nama Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami-pranamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata-deshitarane. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. My apologies.
Hare Krishna.
Bewildered. Hare Krishna. Thank you. All right. So beyond this gross conception of the form is another subtle conception of form which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety, otherwise he could not have repeated births. Very interesting. As the gross cosmic manifestation is conceived as the gigantic form of the gigantic body of the Lord, so also there is the conception of a subtle form which is simply realized without being seen, heard, or unmanifested. Seen like it is also, so what is seen as the gigantic body is a gross form, so likewise there is also a subtle form. But in fact, all these gross or subtle conceptions of the body are only in relation with the living beings. Living being has his spiritual form beyond this gross material or subtle psychic existence. The gross body and psychic function cease to act as soon as the living being leaves the visible gross body. So we'll talk a little bit about the concept of the subtle body and what happens when soul leaves a body, so a gross body. So what happens really? The gross body, because it is subject to the natural process of deterioration, it just goes away, withers away with time, but the soul never goes away. But there is a tendency that soul gets another body. And this says the living being has his form beyond the subtlety, otherwise how he could not have repeated birth. So how the repetition of birth takes place. How that takes place is that living being, after passing away from the body, takes another birth. And that happens repeatedly, again and again, again and again. And how does that happen? And it happens through the subtle body. The subtle body is made up of what? Anyone like to say?
Hare Krishna. Can I try?
Yes, please.
I think it's mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Yes, thank you. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. This part of the body, which is subtle, mano, buddhi, ahankara, mind, intelligence, and false ego, it never goes. And in fact, the subtle body is the reason for the creation of the gross body. So what is visible, subtle body is not visible, is not seen, but we know it is there. How do we know? Because yes, we can experience the mind. And what else we know is that the subtle body actually gives shape to the gross body. And we can see in so many simple examples in life, like it is said, a face is the index of the mind. Something that, recently started to appear. When I say recently, it could be a few years, maybe a decade. For the emojis, we use phones and these devices. And before that, we used to have these caricatures, like, there's some artists who could really draw something really special, like faces, people's faces in a unique ways, highlighting a particular part of their face, making it more prominent and this and that. Also, they could draw different emotions. And just looking at the face, you can see what the emotions are behind the face. Actually, there's the emotions behind the face, which actually is, is directing how the face is changing. So, the emojis, like you have ear to ear smile, so you see that big line going like that, and you have or someone's sad face going like that. It's amazing how those things are created and how the expressions of an individual can be seen with the face. And some people can even say they can read faces. We're not learning the technology here, but the understanding is that how this actually the subtle body, it takes that soul from one body, or the soul carries the subtle body and enter into another. Why is that? Because this subtle body contains all the accumulated desires of the living entity that the living entity still wants to fulfill in the material world. And the engagement of this gross body by the subtle body is to just express those desires. So the mind directs the senses. The subtle body will suggest to the gross body, do this, act, fetch this, or do whatever, those desires which are inside the living entities, which are, residing within the mind and the intelligence. They direct the body, the subtle body directs the gross body to act. And then interestingly, the gross body then experiences and feeds back into the subtle body, and that creates more desire. So the loop gets created between the combination of the both subtle body and gross body, and the soul is completely bewildered. And what that really does is, by the repeated experiences or misidentifying one with the body and with the combination of the subtle body and gross body, the deep impressions of the life after life are created. And that's how we see sometimes, the newborns, for example, we see the newborns are sometimes smiling, or sometimes they burst into a laugh. We don't know why is this happening. Why is this baby suddenly laughing loudly or suddenly crying? No one understands, but it is said that they still carry the memories of the previous lives. And as they progress, or as we progress into the current body, with the time, the old memory is lost and new memory, takes over. And what we still have seen, is many, many examples. Like everyone probably heard of one or the other, where we see that some people are able to recall their previous lives experiences, or some of them are even able to recall what they were in their previous bodies. And there is a book written by someone as well. Don't want to discuss that book, but yes, there is a book which has recorded many such examples, which evidences that people have been able to recall their previous lives, and the memories are still there. So these are the some examples, but we can all actually experience a little bit with our own habits or our own. Sometimes we get, I don't know how many of you experience this, but sometimes we actually get bewildered by ourselves, like, how did I think like this? Like, I don't know, how did we end up doing things or thinking in a particular way? I mean, we never intend to actually, but somehow it is there, the conditioning. Yeah, sometimes favorable, sometimes not so favorable. It was a few years ago, we had a reference of a little boy in Braja, I think. He was 5 or 6 years old, and he could recite Bhagavatam. Not only he could read Bhagavatam, like we have so many children here also, like, it's so amazing to see so many young children read so nicely, recite as if it's not the first time they've done it. But this boy that I was talking about was reciting at the age of 6 or 7. He was reciting hundreds of shlokas of Bhagavatam. hundreds, and giving talk for not 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. He was giving a talk for 3-4 hours. And it's amazing, unless it is coming from the previous life. And sometimes they say also in the material senses, is some young children playing piano like at a very young age, they almost master it. Experience. So those are the subtle skills that individuals carry from one life to the other life, and then it is there. Like that reminds me of Dalai Lama as well. Like Dalai Lama is this new Dalai Lama was 6-year-old when he said, I'm going to be the next Dalai Lama. And then in the monastery also some arrangement happened, and it was realized that this is the person. So these things are there, and we don't need any solid evidence for this because most of us agree. But why are we discussing all this? We're just discussing the power of this subtle mind or subtle body, power of this mind, how the mind is driving everything, and what is the process that we have to follow to dissolve the subtle body. So the gross body gets dissolved by the arrangement of the material nature anyway. But this subtle body, we just carry birth after birth after birth, and that's the same subtle body actually. Because the reason I was going on this topic so much, because if you think deeply, this subtle body we've been carrying from millions and millions of births, and there are, like, in a day someone can have, I don't know, some crazy numbers, like millions of desires can come in a day for an individual, and as many desires is so scary. And then in a lifetime, you can't even count what number and how many desires we accumulate. And then to then fulfill those desires, then then soul has to get into another body. And how does that happen? So this is Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita also, 15th chapter, Shariram yadavapanoti yat chapi kramati ishvaraha Rahitvaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. Shariram yadavapanoti. Sharir is the body. He attains the body. Avapanoti, attains the body. This is, and after giving him the current body, this is the Ishvara. In that verse, Krishna says the Ishvara is defined as the living entity, who makes the choice of attaining the new body. And how does he attain the body? Dhayitvaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. Just like the air, the vayu, gandha, it carries the aroma, the smell. We don't know how, from where it is picked up, but we can, air, we can smell the aroma is coming in. Same concept. The subtle body carries that, the impressions of the previous lives, and it carries in the next life. And then again, what happens with that? Once that desires are created, and then that the material nature, depending on what type of desires have been accumulated, to fulfill one or the other senses, and the combination of all those, what happens? The living entity gets a particular type of body, particular type of the sense object. Shotram, chakshu, sparshanam cha, rasanam, gharanam eva cha, adhisthaya manaschayam, vishwanu upasevate. To vishayanu upasevate, to then enjoy a particular sense, set of sense objects. There's all different sets, like the eye and the ear and the tongue, nose, and the touch. To enjoy these different 5 different types of gross senses, the facility is created for the living entity to then go on, enjoy that. And then just the number of desires that one can have in a day, and then the way we want to enjoy those different senses. It is no surprise that we are in 5,000 years already down the Kali Yuga, and how many million years ago we have already passed, and we're still here around. And but there is a hope. This is why we are here at the best time. We're most fortunate, and we are in the best time of this Kali Yuga, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his mercy is just still going on. The process, the Mahaprabhu's Leela is still going on, and we've been, somehow given this facility, even this awarded this, even though we don't deserve, because Mahaprabhu does not see the patrata. Patrata means is eligibility. So we're not eligible, but we still receive it. We receive it to purify our desires. And the process is given so simple for us to then, just replace these material desires with the spiritual desires. So this is the work that we have to do. So we have, we've been fortunate to connect into the movement, and we're fortunate we have the seeds has been already planted. That's why we are all here discussing. And this process of replacing the material desires with the spiritual desires is like a constant process. So we have to stay conscious as to what desires are coming in. It's interesting if we pay more attention to what type of thoughts we get, and what happens. The thoughts makes the words. The thoughts makes the action, and then action can become habits like that as a process also. So what the habit was more to enjoy the senses, converting those habits to use those senses in the service of Krishna. And that is the process that we follow within Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada was explaining in a class. And then the process of dissolution of the subtle body starts or takes place. But this is the conditions are like, satatam kirtayanto mam, constantly remembering the Lord, kirtan, always discussing the pastimes, hearing about the Lord, and meditating. So when we do meditate, like meditation is actually actively engaging the subtle senses into the Krishna's service. Service also is discussing his pastimes, also Krishna's service, or hearing about Krishna is also service. So when we actively engage the senses, because if you don't actively engage the senses by default, do something that is the previous lives, many lifetimes impressions, it will just by default it just has a tendency to do that, to get attracted towards the matter, because of the misidentification that we will have as we practice more and more and more and more. And Prabhupada says in many lectures, like we just keep hearing, and the purification is happening, and that purification is just the dissolution of the subtle body. And what really helps is because we don't, as a default, we don't have a tendency to think of Krishna or serve Krishna. Some of us may have, but not sure everyone, or many, very few. So what we do is the process that Prabhupada has given is they take some sankalpas, like taking vows. We just take like following Ekadashi Vrata vows, or chanting so many rounds, or maybe I will read this every day and every day recite some prayers. These different types of sankalpas, what happens is the mind is then engaged in that particular activity, and then it is forced to do those things. So like we actively force our mind, yes, I have to do this, or this is the time to do that, this is the time to do this. And I know devotees who has fixed time for everything, what they do, what type of devotional activity they will do at what time. Obviously, most of us are working, so apart from working hours, also in between the working hours, taking some spare time out and doing this, and how step by step, actively dissolving this subtle body. Otherwise, if you don't do that, the natural tendency is to just enjoy. And it is said that even a tiny desire, small desire will also make us come back and enjoy, because Lord wants to, ultimately fulfill our own desires, because we have our own desire to enjoy, gulab jamun, for example. There's nothing wrong in gulab jamun enjoying that, but we have the desires to do that. Like there's so many examples of people, at the time of death, people have made so many plans. Oh, I have got a big plot of land. I want to construct this massive commercial building there. And then this plan and that plan, by the time that, building comes into existence, the person is no more. And then what sort of desire that person will come up, will again carry into the next life, will be, obviously the result outcome will be that. So how to, purify those desires, how to convert those desires, this is the whole process of, dissolving the spiritual body. That process is that we have to focus on. And it is not possible for normal people to see, actually. It's excuse me, I'm still unwell. There is so much covering. There's Prakshep Atmika, and there is Avarana Atmika Shakti, the two types of covering that Maya does. So some people with Avarana, and this is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Avarana Atmika, this people or the animal, they're completely covered. They have no understanding that anything can exist beyond the body. But there is Prakshapa Atmika, in which someone can get an idea that yes, there is something beyond this. But then they get constantly covered by the Maya to actually further test or purify the individual. So that struggle, goes on even for devotees, that we constantly get contented or be satisfied, or different allurements to say that actually it is not too bad. I'm living a good life. I don't have a problem. I have a good family, a good house, and I'm all sorted. So this is the time where I can take it a little bit easy. So these are all the different activities of Maya Devi performing service. But the devotees have to be, that's why Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. And Ridavrata, with determination and with all these sankalpas that we take, there is a hope, and obviously overall blessings of the Guru and Sadhu and Shastra and the Parampara is that we ultimately need. But from our side, our process, our sankalpas, our active engagement to dissolve this subtle body. It's a technical term, but this is just in context to what we were discussing in the purport. So maybe we'll discuss at this stage. Maybe we can have some discussion, if any. Any experiences anyone would like to share? Was it too boring? A lot of people are already sleeping.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Mamta here. And just a small question, Prabhuji. Obviously, you did mention about the mind, intelligence, and false ego. So subtle body, basically, we carry with us all throughout all your many generations, the previous births. So how does one try to, obviously, because whatever wishes we have now, the subtle body will take us to the next again birth, whether good or bad, whichever, depending upon which one is the stronger inside you, your inner desire. How does one get rid of something which has been carried on for millions and millions of years? Can we ever overcome that?
Yes, yes. That's the
Can we
real
ever overcome that, Prabhuji?
Sorry?
So that's what. Can we ever
Yeah.
overcome that, Prabhuji?
Yeah, we can't, but that's what the Bhakti, Krishna can. So that's what the Bhakti process does. The Bhakti not only actually stops further desires to create or further karma. There are two things actually, the desires and also the karmic reactions and actions that I did not cover that much. Is actually dissolved by bhakti. So bhakti has the potency, the power to finish off all our material desires, and that has a potency. So that's the power of bhakti shakti that it can do, and to the extent that we perform that bhakti, Krishna says, to the degree that we surrender to the desire of the Lord and the service of the Lord and the spiritual master, to that degree, we actually, burn away our karmas and our previous desires just disappear. So there's a power in bhakti. That's the solution.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
No other process is interesting. I can't complete that just by saying that, but because just no other process has that much power. So it takes many, many lifetimes to, without bhakti, for example, someone following Jnana Marga, that takes many, many lifetimes to come to the stage where the individual has no desires, material desires left. That takes many, many lifetimes, that's a so after many, many lifetimes, one with the knowledge surrenders. Vasudevam Sarvamati Samatma Sadurlubha. Like, that is very rare, and that also after many, many millions of lifetimes. But the power of bhakti is that. And Karma Kanda is the other, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, these are all different aspects of the Vedas.
Yes.
Karma Kanda is just a constant, way of just getting into higher system, and that prayers and shreyas, the prayers like just, gradually we will go to this higher living and then be in goodness, and then again in next life get a better birth, and then again better birth, and again go to upper planetary system, and then again there.
It goes on and on.
Time is not favorable. This is not the time to do those things. This is Kali Yuga now. We are in very deep mess, if I can call it. It's already difficult to even perform bhakti. What to speak of doing all the jnanas, and nobody has the knowledge, nobody has the understanding anymore.
So if I say like our grandparents, like grandmother, grandfather, they didn't know any of, a little bit whatever. Now we have lots of media and all that. Before, people used to come and do a little bit of dramas to tell about the stories of the Lord, glorifying the Lord and all that. But for them, what they used to just only do the prayers. They know that there's a supernatural being over there. It is God, and we fear Him, and we will do the prayers. That's what they used to do. Even though it might look, feel ritualistic, but they had that fear of doing to the God. And pray all the time.
Oh yes, they were much better.
So they're in a better position because
absolutely, yes.
Than us, obviously, because we try to rationalize, it's a living being or not, or this and that. So that's where hum log maar kha jate hain, actually.
Absolutely. Our parents, they were what for the culture is, obviously we can see how the culture is
going down.
Education system, and we can't blame any individual or situation, anyone. This is a Kali Yuga, power of Kali Yuga. Everything is getting degraded anyway. So, but this is the only hope that we have, and we have somehow connected. So we take the most advantage of it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Done with pranam. Thank you very much for a really nice class. I just had a little question in my head that, as the Kali Yuga progresses, I've heard that all the good things will go away that will benefit mankind, like the Saraswati river has gone. Slowly, slowly, every day, Giriraj is going, and it is said that within few years, when the Giriraj is completely gone, then Kali will come with full force. Then how will the mankind be benefited if all the pure things go away?
Yes, so 10,000 years is the time that is left, Mataji. That is the prediction. Mahaprabhu's Leela is going on. At the moment, this is like on sale. Bhakti is on sale. No requirement for any eligibility, no qualification required. Actually, the lower the better. Just have to have one thing, Mahaprabhu says, and Shraddha. All that someone needs is at this stage is Shraddha. Little bit of faith is to be displayed, and that's all you need. And then you are in, and we are in, and that's and that's it. We don't need to do anything else. Just board it, and then it automatically, with the association, things progress. So yes, it is going to be quite. Bhagavatam says what is going to happen, and we can see that already. We don't.
Yeah. But the current generation is quite lucky because we still have Brajdam, we've still got the holy rivers, we have everything. But the more the Kali progresses, the more the mercy will become less. That means it will become harder for souls to go back home, back to Godhead.
Absolutely. Yeah. The more the Kali takes place. And still, it is there actually. I was a few years ago. I visited Karoli, Radha Madan Mohanji temple, that village. And I went at the time when the Aarti was just going to start. And I think it was evening time. Yes, evening. And then suddenly the whole of that, the area, thousands of people from the village and all nearby places just, get assembled there and they start to sing amazing Aarti. And I was so astonished to see, wow, look at this. How these people have natural love, natural, affection for Krishna, how they were singing. And there are so many devotees already there, and we don't, it's, as we were discussing before, it's normal people can't see and they can't understand what's happening. But we get a little bit of knowledge, we understand. Oh, this is not the first birth they're doing it. They've been doing it for many, many lifetimes, but they happen to be here and they have to have this kind of love for Krishna. And we used to go for some camps that that used to happen in Barsana and nearby areas for this, the treatment camps for eye treatment, dental treatment, like that. And in those camps, we would see lots of villages from small village. Really, if you see materially very poor people coming from a far distance, and they would be queuing up for their treatment, and they'll be, like cataract removal or some denture issues and this and that. And they'll be queuing in hundreds and thousands of people there. And, I went 1 year just to volunteer and experience that. And I was in the queue management and things like that. And so I thought maybe just have a chat with some of them. And I would go around and then, find someone really, old or someone young or Matajis or whoever, like, and just have a casual chat with them and say, what's happening and how's their life. But I was so surprised. All they had to talk was about Krishna.
Yeah.
All they had, like one person he was elderly person, Prabhuji, and he just said, how is your health? He said, forget about my health. Krishna said he will come back, but he's not come back yet. And I was like, I know I am in Brajdam and this person is speaking this. A very simple person, very simple looking person. And he was actually in so much bhav that he's just meditating. Look at where his subtle mind is. His subtle mind is like, Krishna was going to come back. He's looking to see Krishna, he's waiting. That's his desires. So what is his destination? It was so natural for him. I asked him a simple question, how is your health? He said, forget about it. He didn't even want to talk about, his health, none of that. Yeah. And there was one elderly Mataji said, do you know any Krishna bhajan? And then she started to sing. And then she was like, so naturally, I just had to say, do you know any local bhajan? And she could just chant for 1 hour non-stop. Just, so what is that? This is the subtle body. This is what they're creating, the birth after birth, the desires to serve Krishna and to develop their loving relationship. So this is all there. We can find such amazing, amazing people.
Okay, thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a question here by Indira Mataji. Prabhuji, you mentioned desire if one has a plot and build a house and then they are no more and don't even get to see the house. So what happens to desire? The desire, stays. Desire is part of the subtle body, stays with the living entity and goes in the next birth, again birth, and then, at the right moment, the desire comes back again and then person starts to build a house again, build property, or this is how, we naturally get attracted towards certain things that we don't know how we're getting attracted. And this is what really happens, the previous birth desires and just takes us there. So this is the process which is going on. So we discuss and we contemplate and we can actually, do our self-reading as well as to do we have any. And this is a good practice, in a way to sometimes conscious of our consciousness. This is like that. We have to be conscious of our own consciousness. What's happening? Keep a check of ourselves. Where is my consciousness? Where is my mind going? What am I thinking? And just surprise yourself sometimes. Say, what was I thinking again? Was there anything to do with Krishna consciousness? No, not. It is, it is amazing. It does happen. So we may, in the assembly of devotees, it's always good. So long we are in association, all good. But we have to, when we are by ourselves, we can check a little bit on ourselves. And, I pray that everyone finds good things, but we can be surprised as well. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, anything else? Shailesh Prabhu, you have some points normally required today?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. No, I'm quiet today. I'm working in the background and listening to you at the same time. So a wonderful class. Thank you, Prabhuji.
I think this is a little bit of. Okay, thank you so much, devotees. Thank you. I think we can call it, unless there is more questions, we can just finish it here. Jai Puran ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Prabhuji.
class.
Wonderful
To
class.
everybody. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Shyam Hari Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lovely class.
Prabhuji, I put the lyrics, Prabhuji, on the
Yes,
chat.
yes, thank you so much. I'll copy that.
You're welcome,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you so much.